The shockwaves hit the basketball world like an unexpected earthquake, rumbling louder with every replay, every reaction, every heated argument erupting across social media timelines. Larry Bird had spoken. Not with vague hints or softened critiques, but with the precision of a man who built his career on speaking truth and backing it up on the court. And in just 5 words he sent LeBron James's entire legacy spiraling into a firestorm that no one saw coming. The tension, the disbelief, the outrage, the vindication. It all collided the moment Bird made it clear he was done entertaining a narrative he believed had gone completely off the rails. To him, LeBron calling himself the greatest of all time wasn't just misguided. It was disrespectful to the history of the game itself. And Bird, famously fearless, decided it was time to dismantle the myth piece by piece. What made the whole thing so explosive wasn't just the statement. It was who it came from. Larry Bird isn't a provocateur searching for relevance or clicks. He isn't a retired star who pops up every few years to stir the pot. He is a foundational pillar of basketball greatness, a player whose name carries weight in every generation. And hearing him push back so forcefully against LeBron's claim didn't just open a debate. It reopened every old wound in the GOAT conversation that people had tried to ignore. Suddenly, rings, finals records, competition, leadership, loyalty, mentality, all of it was back on the table, and Bird was ready to scrutinize every inch of LeBron's resume with the kind of intensity he once reserved for Magic Johnson on the biggest stages in the world. The heart of Bird's attack landed in a place LeBron fans hoped no one would ever revisit. His championship journey. 4 rings look impressive on paper, but Bird's argument wasn't about quantity. It was about how those rings were earned. He made it clear that in his eyes, LeBron's path wasn't the journey of a franchise builder. It was the path of a franchise changer. A superstar who uprooted himself again and again, chasing the right combination of talent rather than crafting greatness from within. Miami, Cleveland, Los Angeles. New teams, new cores, new storylines. For Bird, NBA legends don't jump ship when things get hard. They dig in deeper. They elevate what they already have. They build dynasties with the tools they're given, not the tools they handpick. That was the Celtics way, the 80s way, the era Bird believes defined real basketball greatness. The contrast was sharp and uncomfortable. Bird's Celtics won 3 titles with the same foundational core, facing some of the greatest teams ever assembled. They endured heartbreak, rebuilt, fought back, and earned everything through repetition, chemistry, and loyalty. He believed that beating Magic's Lakers, battling the bad boy Pistons, pushing through the Sixers, those were tests that forged true legends. The kind of tests LeBron rarely faced in the same way. In Bird's eyes, the Eastern Conference during LeBron's prime was so weak it practically greased the path to the finals. Easy roads, tough endings. That was the story Bird kept coming back to, the one that gnawed at his belief that LeBron deserved the label of greatest ever. But Bird didn't stop with rings or competition. He dove into the intangibles, the gritty, uncomfortable elements of greatness that numbers simply cannot capture. Leadership. Accountability, mental toughness. When teams struggled under Bird, he didn't ask for reinforcements or demand massive roster overhauls. He didn't play GM behind the scenes. He tightened his laces, sharpened his focus, and found ways to pull his teammates up with him. He believed greatness wasn't just domination. It was responsibility. And this is where his criticism cut deepest. To Bird, LeBron's legacy was too often tied to influence rather than inspiration. Too many trades, too many departures, too many moments where things unraveled and LeBron simply moved on to the next chapter. Then came the conversation about mentality, the one that divided the internet instantly. Bird's generation, the Jordans, the Magics, the Kobes who came after, played with a cruel, sharp-edged ruthlessness that defined their greatness. It wasn't enough to win. They wanted to break their opponent's will. Bird famously destroyed teams with his mouth before he ever took his shot. Jordan was relentless. Kobe was merciless. These were players who wanted the last shot more than they wanted to breathe. And Bird made it painfully clear he didn't see that killer edge in LeBron. LeBron was smart, strategic, brilliant even. But that instinct, that fire to crush your opponents without hesitation, Bird didn't believe it lived in LeBron the way it did in the true giants of the game. And yet, the biggest shock wasn't Bird's argument itself. It was the ripple it created. The generational divide split instantly. Older fans stood firmly behind Bird, feeling validated by a voice they trusted. Younger fans clapped back with stats, longevity, versatility, and LeBron's unmatched ability to excel across every corner of the game. But that's what made Bird's words so powerful. They reignited a debate that had been simmering for years. They forced fans to look beyond box scores and highlight reels and reconsider what greatness really means in basketball. They reminded everyone that legacy is more than numbers. It's story, context, character, and timing. Larry Bird's declaration wasn't just a critique. It was a challenge. A reminder that the throne of basketball greatness is not earned by proclamation or popularity, but by a total body of work that withstands every era's scrutiny. Bird acknowledged LeBron's brilliance, his dominance, his historic achievements. But he refused to surrender the ultimate title without a fight. And in that refusal, he shook the entire conversation to its core. So now the question falls to the fans, the analysts, the people who shape the narrative from the outside. Does LeBron's greatness survive this level of scrutiny? Are his accomplishments enough to outweigh the criticisms? Or is Bird right? Does the full picture reveal something more fragile, something less definitive than LeBron wants us to believe? Is this a generational misunderstanding or a hard truth that younger fans don't want to confront? The GOAT debate has never been simple, but after this, it's messier than ever. And maybe that's the beauty of it. The legends of the game continue to challenge one another long after they stop playing. The conversations evolve, the legacies shift, and the arguments adapt. But the passion remains the same. And now it's your turn to weigh in. Do you believe Larry Bird exposed the cracks in LeBron's legacy, or did he overlook the evolution of the modern game? Is LeBron truly the greatest of all time, or is that crown still firmly sitting on the head of Michael Jordan? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a deep dive story like this.